Good afternoon to everyone who's joined this webinar. My name is Rakhi Talukdar. I am a senior associate in the study abroad vertical of upGrad abroad. And today we have an alumnus of University Canada West, UCW Canada, who's Divya Annadatta. And Divya Annadatta is here to talk to us about what it takes to do an MBA in Canada. What are the eligibility requirements? What is the ROI of a Canadian MBA program? What are the employability after you complete the course, and so on and so forth, right? So, of course, as you all know, the MBA, it's a highly aspirational program, and it can also be a very life-changing event, right? Despite it being, sometimes a little of an expensive affair, it can be immensely rewarding, if you choose the right country, the right university, and the right choice basis your, dreams or your career goals. So we have Divya here to speak to us about that. And if I were to introduce Divya, then Divya is a professional who has almost 8 years of experience, and her experience spans diverse industries. So she's worked in FMCG, she's worked in IT, media, across a lot of functions like operations and marketing. And she's recently graduated from UCW as of 2022. So Divya, thank you so much for being here. And we would love if you share a little bit about your journey, from since about your professional work experience, and we can take it from there.
Hello everyone. So my name is Divya Annadatta, and I have about 8 to 10 years of experience, like actually nearly 10 years of experience back in India, like into different verticals. Like I worked in media, that is in film industry, and also followed by I worked for a real estate company, and then I worked for IT, that is as digital marketer, and followed by now I'm here. So I wanted to pursue like my higher studies right from many years actually, and I suggested this, and I got the support which I needed. So here I am doing my MBA, like almost done with my MBA. Actually, December this month, within a week or two, I'll be done with my MBA. So yeah, this is my journey, and it was incredibly it was like a roller coaster ride, and incredibly good. Yeah, so this is me.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Divya. That's a very interesting journey you've had so far. So, of course, since we are here to talk about a Canadian MBA, first, I would like to ask you that what makes Canada such an attractive destination for aspiring MBA students? And also, what motivated you to particularly choose Canada as a country?
So first of all, let me talk about my experience. Okay, so the
Hmm.
thing is that why I chose Canada is there are a couple of reasons. That is, one is that this country is really a friendly country. So and also it's very easy to, like, after we finish our studies, it's easy to settle down in this country. It's easy to get a PR, or to get a citizenship also. There's not a lot of visa disturbances or visa issues relate, which we hear from other countries. So we will get a very good smooth s- uh, journey, I feel. So that was the reason why I chose Canada. And coming to the country, it's actually, you should see Canada. It's so beautiful. And actually it has a very diverse you know um, environment, like very from different countries throughout the world. We can see people from China, from not just India, from Vietnam, even from Brazil, like throughout the world. There is not even a single country which is not here person who are not here from other countries. So yeah, we'll get to experience different cultures. Yeah, so that was one more reason why I wanted to like go ahead with Canada.
Absolutely. I think Divya is very right in saying that, because I think a lot of people today are choosing Canada. And two of the more important reasons why they choose Canadian MBA, and Divya, if you you may agree with me, is because of the affordability that it offers in terms of an MBA from US or UK, and also the standard of life, as you've correctly mentioned, or the quality of life, right? And that also is one of the primary considerations. The diversity that is there in Canada, it happens to be one of the more multicultural environments, right? Divya, you had approximately, I think, 6 to 7 years of experience on an average before you chose to do an MBA in Canada, right? So, in terms of how difficult it is to do an MBA, or how difficult or easy it is to do an MBA in Canada, can you throw some light on that in terms of the eligibility criteria, in terms of what are the English proficiency test requirements that they have?
So, actually, what happens is that when it comes to MBA, it's mandatory that we need to take at least IELTS. Uh, Throughout, I mean, that is like an eligibility. That is the eligibility criteria, which,
Right,
any university or college where we want to pursue MBA would look for. So,
right,
like, coming to UCW, actually, initially when there are few candidates, like few students who applied to UCW for MBA without IELTS also. But UCW offers a very um, uh, conditional offer letter that once you complete the IELTS, only then you'll get the complete admission. So it's like a conditional. It's not unconditional offer letter, but it's a conditional offer letter on a condition that they'll give the offer letter. So that is how it works. And sorry, can you repeat the question once again? I'm really sorry.
yes. No, I was just wanting to know in general how easy or difficult it is to do an
Okay,
MBA in
yeah.
Canada,
So
eligibility wise.
yeah, and coming to the academic gap, let me explain. So
Yes,
it's not like for MBA, for a MBA student, there is no hard and fast rule that there should be no work experience or there should be a lot of work experience. It doesn't really matter. As MBA student, we can pursue our MBA education, like we can do it no matter what age we are. There is a student in my class who's about 50 years of age. Yeah, she was 50, and last year, and now she is still doing her MBA, like with me. So there is a student who is 21 years old, and he's also doing MBA along with me. So there
right.
is no such age limit or any study gap which will create any kind of issue when you
Okay.
if we want to pursue MBA, that is. And coming to the difficulty part, I don't think that the syllabus or the courses will have so much difficulty. I did not face any such kind of difficulty initially. To understand that that there is some specifications or requirements which Canadian syllabus or Canadian education requires us to do. Only that it I found it a little bit difficult, but for that also UCW provided ample workshops to make us understand how to do it. So that helped me understand it very quickly. And then yeah, it's pretty easy, and the professors are very good and they're excellent in their teaching methods. So it's like a cakewalk. It's not that difficult.
It's not that difficult. Thank you so much, Divya, for sharing that. And while you were speaking, this question came to my mind, that about the curriculum in Canada. So, of course, we do know that Canadian schools or Canadian universities, they are known for their research, for the in-depth research that they do and their faculty. So, in terms of that, because a lot of students, when they are choosing to do an MBA in any particular country, they also look at what am I going to gain from the curriculum, how is that going to develop me as an individual, what kind of rigor will I be exposed to, and would I be able to take that rigor, questions like that. So in terms of that, I would really like you to speak on how unique the Canadian MBA curriculum is, in terms of what kind of skills does it impart you, and how that really prepares you for life after graduation.
So actually, I noticed like there's a lot of difference when it comes to research part. There's not a specific book or a syllabus or a course which we need to like okay, I'll just study this and then I'll write the exam. It doesn't work that way. So it's more like the more research we do and the more information we find, based on that, the more knowledge we gain. So, and also it's all practical. It's all practical knowledge. It's nothing is theoretical here.
That's
So
hmm,
the more research we do, the more experience we gain into understanding how the concepts are.
yes,
The syllabus, coming to the syllabus, it's not that difficult. So first and foremost, the professor will explain like what the main concept is all about. And we, of course, as students, we need to do more research, or more we need to find more information to figure out what exactly this is all about. Because in 1 hour time, the professor will be only able to explain like so much, right? It's not possible to gain in-depth knowledge regarding each and every part of the like, for example, digital marketing is a subject here. So
right.
that if that is the course, then we need to figure out like, if he talks about a specific topic in that, and we just need to go in detail and figure out what other information is required to understand that concept. And one more thing is that it's also one more thing, most important thing is that here we will research and will find out information based on the Canadian market.
Yep,
So it's not just Canadian market, it's also about US and Canada together, and
that's true.
in the
Yeah.
rest of the world. So it's more like we'll be gaining international information related to throughout the world, like different international trades and everything. So it will be like it's a different like exposure which we get here. And that's not I mean, I wouldn't say that I'll be comparing that with Indian experience, but my graduation in India did not have this kind of concepts or
Yes,
this way of,
absolutely.
yeah, curriculum studying and all.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. That's absolutely correct when you say that education out there is more interdisciplinary, which actually prepares you for a career at the in the world stage, and not just you're just not just limited to Canada. So in terms of that, also, Divya, my second question, when you spoke about how your experience has been, and you said that you do have in your classroom people who are 50 years old and they are 22 years old as well. So how has that diversity in the classroom shaped your learning or your takeaway from the MBA?
Sorry, I lost your voice. How
Okay.
was the?
No, my question was, you mentioned that in your classroom, you do have people who are 50 years old and you also have somebody who's 22 years old. So it's a very diverse classroom. How has that diversity really shaped your learning? Because, you are getting to also learn from the experiences of these people.
Here, what happens is that um, a 50-year-old person, like, if
Yeah,
it first and foremost, they will be dividing us into teams. So there's not just an individual, studying. It's also about how we work in a team. So since we come from different backgrounds, from different countries, we get to experience working with them, with different people, like, and their inputs are entirely different. The For example, a 50-year-old person, she'll be having more work experience, and her knowledge will be based on what she learned through her work experience. But coming to a 22-year-old, he'll be having a fresh mindset and fresh ideas, so creativity and innovative ideas that will pop up. So it's more like, we'll be getting to know different things. We'll not even be knowing that, okay, this thing exists, that there are so many new concepts which we learn, that there's no full stop or comma for this. It
and you
just goes on. It's a continuous journey.
and you would say that's the best part about it.
Yeah, I would say
All
that.
right. Yes. Okay. Thanks, Divya. Now, you did mention that it's not necessary that you do come with any kind of work experience, right? However, of course, it's a general perception that if you come with work experience, then you are able to gain more post an MBA, right? So, just want to understand that how important is professional work experience in terms of what the Canadian market expects, right? And let's say there are people who are coming from a very different background. whether they are coming from a purely tech background or they're coming from an arts background or a science background, and then they have decided to transition into an MBA program. So, what are some tips that you would give them to enable them to adapt better to the course and have a better ROI post the program as well?
So what I would suggest is that first and foremost, it's better to have a clear mind. As a fresher, like even though we have like a lot of experience, or even if we don't have an experience, it doesn't really matter. When we start studying something, we'll start as a fresher. That will make us have a clear open mind, so that whatever concepts which they teach will not relate it to our previous work experience or educational background. So instead of getting some kind of like trying to connect the experience or the education and all these things, it's better to have an open mind and go about that, so that whatever new concepts or new innovative ideas which other suggest in teams or through the professors, whatever we learn, we'll get to experience and understand what is our interest. And based on that, we'll choose our electives, and based on that we can create our own journey. Like it's like a new start. So we'll just have it's like an open option, which will have to reshape our future.
All right, absolutely. Thank you so much, Divya, for sharing that. And I do believe that in Canada, there are multiple MBAs which offer, let's say, specializations and more general also, right? So, what is the proportion of students who choose to do a specialization versus, let's say, a general? And according to you, when we are approaching an MBA, what are these factors that we need to keep in mind?
As far as I know, I mean, coming to UCW,
Hmm.
or I don't know about other MBA universities which offer, like but the thing is, UCW has an option to select electives.
Right.
So electives is our specialization, which we will have to choose at any cost, like uh, from the third term, like from second year, starting second year. So we'll get to choose our electives. So
Right.
that is where we'll get to like understand our interest.
Got it.
So it's not like we'll just directly get into the elective. So prior
Yes.
to that, there will be a common like basic subject fundamentals, which they will explain about the fundamentals of that particular course. So based on that fundamentals, we'll get to know, okay, whether we are interested in that subject or not.
Absolutely.
So based on that, they will also segregate and create like have couple of electives, available elective options which they provide to the students. So in that also, we'll get to choose whichever electives we find is more suitable to us, our
Right.
profession.
Absolutely.
Based on that, we get to select, and based on that, we'll get to learn like more information, in detailed information regarding that particular subject.
Great. Absolutely. So they do offer, especially UCW, a lot of courses in the very beginning for you to get acclimatized and for you to actually ease into the entire process, what's going to come afterwards. Right, that's amazing. So I do also have a question since we are talking about eligibility and criterias and the requirements. I do have a question from the audience poll, and that is with respect to the IELTS. So IELTS score. So what is the average IELTS score that UCW requires? And of course, you also had to undergo this examination. So how would you suggest the learners who are there on this call take up the IELTS preparation?
So coming to my experience, I have like mostly watched YouTube videos and taken online IELTS practice sessions to get more, get used to the IELTS exam. So based on that, the more practice I did, the more convenient and easy it was for me to give the actual IELTS exam.
Yes,
And here in UCW, I think the cutoff is above 6.5. It
6.5.
should be 6.5 or above.
6.5.
Yeah, so it's easy only to crack.
Yes, absolutely. I think what is most important is you do have in some kind of resources, or you do have a preparation tool which you're referring to, and you're consistent with the practice. And I think, like you mentioned, 6.5 is a doable score. It's easy to have, right? All right. Thank you for sharing such valuable insights into, this gives us a picture of what it is to do an MBA in UCW particularly, right? So Divya, of course, you do know that, whenever anybody is considering overseas education, and especially an MBA, which happens to be one of the more expensive study options, right? The one thing that really comes to their mind is, what is the ROI of the program going to be? So, in terms of that, I would really like you to speak more on the expenses at UCW, what it cost you to do an MBA, and what is the resultant ROI from the program that you've gotten.
So, coming to the UCW, I think tuition fee. I have researched a lot before joining UCW, and I found out that UCW is the one university which is offering MBA at a very like comparative compared to other universities. This offers at a very lower price. That is thing which I have researched. And coming to the ROI, see, any student or any person who has studied in Canada will get to experience two things. That is, one is that through Canadian study, like Canadian experience in studying, they get their jobs very easily. So after the MBA, it's very easy to get a job. So that is one biggest advantage of studying in Canada. So because
Okay.
and also while studying itself, we get to, like, it's not like all the students will come here and just study. Obviously we'll do our part-time job also, because we'll have ample time to study and also work. So
Yes,
while working as a part-timer, we'll get to experience the Canadian work culture. So that is
absolutely.
also an additional advantage which Canadians look at. Once we step out of, MBA journey, once we step out of this MBA journey, and once we are done with our graduation, then with this Canadian experience, like whatever experience we have gained during studying and study,
Yes,
obviously the graduate graduation
absolutely. Yes,
certification, and both of them together, it'll be like an bonus for us. It's like easy to crack a job interview. So obviously they'll provide us more tips, and also various what do you say uh, opportunities related to jobs also. They will try to support us as much as possible. Even the professors, they will also guide us like really
they'll
well,
also guide.
related to any question we have.
Absolutely.
So
So, in terms of that, Divya, I hope you're able to hear me. I think I lost you there for a couple of minutes. Okay. So thanks for sharing that, Divya. And this brings me to the question regarding part-time work rights. Just to deviate from the whole question about employability, and you've mentioned that how part-time work rights essentially help you to get that final job after graduation, right? So in terms of that, what are the common part-time jobs that students
I lost you. I'm so sorry.
Yes, I am very sorry. I think for some reason there was an internet glitch, but I hope you can all hear me right now. Yeah. All right. Thank you. So, Divya, coming to the question relating to part-time work, right? And I just wanted to understand, what are the common part-time opportunities that students take up, both inside and outside of campus? And how is it that you are able to balance that with respect to your academic schedule? And that is even more so important now, because recently the Canadian government has removed the cap on part-time work rights of 20 hours per week, and now you can work for unlimited hours outside of campus. And that's a great way for students to actually gain experience during their education, which is, like you mentioned, going to help them post their MBA. So, if you can throw some light on that, what are the common opportunities that people do take up, and what are the happen to be the more attractive ones also?
So, prior like before this option to like Canadian government introduced, which to work for more than 20 hours. Prior to that, it was more like it's very difficult to find like work in a specific field. For example, if I'm into tech background back in India, and if I want to find a part-time work in tech background, it's a little bit difficult to find, because obviously all the tech companies will require us to work full-time. So that was a glitch which they had prior, which we used to face prior to this. um, but right now, since they have done this, introduced this, we can work up to like more than 20 hours. So it has become that many people who has work experience back in India, or who initially after we come from India, like here, it's easy to find a part-time job. Like yeah, of course, it's more like working in as a sales representative in some store. More like that kind of experience we'll get to have. But since now that they have removed this 20-hour cap, we'll get to, I think we can work full time. We will get to experience the IT experience or whatever experience we have. So based on that, we can apply and we can find jobs. So that will be like a, obviously that over there also we'll get to experience the Canadian culture. It's not like the wherever we go, first thing which they ask, I mean, not in part-time jobs, but in full-time jobs, the first thing which they ask is that, do you have Canadian experience?
Canadian experience.
So that Canadian experience we'll get to have while studying. So coming to managing both the both studies and work, it's really not that difficult, because it's more like per term will be taking only 3 courses. Few people opt for 4 courses, but mostly 3 courses. And weekly we'll have only 4 hours of class each course for each course. So it's like 4 into 3, it's like 12 hours. So weekly we'll have only 12 hours of classes max.
Right.
So coming to the other time, we'll get we need to concentrate on our assignments. That is very, very important, right?
Very important.
So yeah, so based on that, based on the hours, like based on the classes and the assignments which the professor assigns us, it's easy to manage our task. Like it's all about time management, of course. um
Absolutely.
yeah. So we'll get to learn a lot of new things. We'll get to learn all the soft skills as well,
Yeah.
interpersonal skills and whatnot. I can, there's no
Dearth of
uh,
learning. Yes.
yeah. Yeah, it's like a different experience, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, because a lot of people, when they are here, they do not know the on-ground scenario. And I think this is very helpful for all our audience to know the fact that Canadian government has removed this cap. And like Divya rightly mentioned, that when you are talking of these tech companies, and especially if I'm talking about UCW, which happens to be located in Vancouver, and Vancouver is known as the tech hub of Canada, right? And it's slowly growing in its reputation as being one of the foremost tech capitals in the world as well. So, like you mentioned, when you go to these companies, what they really like or what they really want or expect is that you have Canadian experience. So, this is definitely something that is going to be valuable going forward, right? So, that's a great option for all our learners, and it's going to be great if you take advantage of that as well, right? So apart from that, Divya, I would like you to also throw light on what are the employability options post an MBA. So what are the common, let's say, industries that MBA grads venture into, especially if I look at it in the light of UCW graduates, and also who are the top companies who snap UCW graduates?
So UCW actually like conducts some job fairs.
Yeah.
So I tried to attend a few, and I came to know that Amazon, few companies like Amazon and Microsoft, yeah, and Salesforce also.
Yes.
I've heard that these companies also provide assistance when it comes to like not just job fairs. Like it's more like it's a different experience coming to job fairs. How that will be like, all the companies will be there and in the same place, and we'll just go to different companies. Like they'll be having some stalls or something like that, and we'll go to each company and give our resume and talk to them, interact with them. and they will get to call us back if they
Yes.
find that our resume and our profile is good. So that is how it works here. So in at least in the job fairs which UCW conducts, not just in UCW, but even in other job fairs where I went, I've
Hmm.
noticed that this is how it works. So it's more like our journey, like in while doing the MBA. So if I select marketing and digital marketing as my electives and my interest choice of interest, then it will be like after I graduate, I'll use this experience and try to find job in marketing field or digital marketing field. So
Right.
it's more like what is our interest. Based on that, we need to look for jobs. So for that also, I would say that LinkedIn is very very good social media platform where we can find jobs. All the recommendations, job recommendations will get, and even UCW is trying to help as much as possible. And other than UCW, also in Vancouver, there are a lot of job fairs which
Right.
happen. It's just that our interest to network and find out where this kind of job events happen, job fairs happen, and we'll just have to go and attend them, talk to them, interact with them, and stay in touch with them, obviously. And also, it's all about more connections, more connections, more connections. Yeah. So that's how it works.
And you would say that definitely an MBA does prepare you for that, to how to network.
Get
Yes.
to yeah, in while doing the MBA itself, because of the teamwork with so many other students from different countries, will
Mhm.
obviously get to interact and make connections over there. That it starts right from term one, or the moment we step inside Canada. It starts from there.
Absolutely. That's great. Divya, when you say that, you do have to go and look for jobs yourself, you have to take this initiative and find the right kind of job while going to these job fairs. I also want to know that in terms of UCW, what kind of career assistance services do they offer? Because UCW does have a very impressive employability rate. In fact, 100% of its graduates are deemed to, get 100% placement. I mean, at least in 6 months' time, and almost 88% get placed in 3 months' time. So, what are the career services that UCW provides?
As I mentioned earlier, UCW conducts job fairs
Hmm.
and internships. Obviously, it gives the opportunities, for students to do their internships while they are in their final term.
Yeah.
So through internships and job fairs, that is the most important platform which UCW offers, and
Okay.
to get the jobs, that is.
Get the job.
And other than this, also UCW conducts some kind of events or webinars with
Yeah.
yeah, webinars and events with other personalities, like great famous personalities, few. So
Okay.
while attending the webinars, we'll get to like connect with more people. So
Absolutely.
that is one more way where we'll
Yeah.
get to like find jobs, or at least we'll get to understand where there is job opportunities are available.
Right. And how frequently do you say these job fairs happen?
I think it happens about 3 months once. So it's
Three.
like for every like final year, sorry,
Hmm.
final term, uh, every passing out student will get the opportunity to attend the job fair. It's
Right.
not just for final year student, but final term student, but also whoever is interested in attending the job fair can attend it. It's just that we just have to register for that job fair when it
Right.
announces.
Right, absolutely. And I also think that the career services at UCW, they do also offer you some kind of handholding in terms of preparing your resumes or mock interview sessions and some kind of career mentorship services. Right. Yes, it would be helpful if you can also throw some light on that.
So it's like the moment the very first term when I started with the MBA, there was some subject called introducing to business,
Yeah.
introduction to business. So in that, we have a assignment. Actually, it's more
Hmm.
like an assignment, and they made us work on our resume as per the Canadian requirement. It's not like, for example, for India there is a different format for a resume, and here there is a different format. So the professors will actually, there are some
Yes,
tools,
absolutely.
and there are some tools and other like links, URLs, which the UCW portal has,
Yeah.
and they will even tell us about that. And there is even a workshop conducted just for this resume and cover letter, how tips and like how to write a resume and what do's and don'ts basically.
Do's and
So
don'ts.
yeah, so they even conduct a workshop. That workshop every 3 months they conduct once. So even a term fives like who are passing out, they can attend the webinar, like sorry, workshop again, and get to brush up their skills. And
Yes.
also the very first student who's just entered also get to understand how it is actually. So
Yeah.
it's more like, yeah, so since it's a different country and their requirements are different, so we will have these kind of options available to us, where we'll get to know how to work on our resume as per the Canadian requirement.
As per the Canadian requirements. I think that is going to be, of course, that's the most helpful part of the services that they offer. Excellent. I do have a question from the audience, and their question is that what is the average salary that a UCW graduate is able to get, right? And of course, that is a combination of also your prior work experience and your educational background, and let's say, for example, how much Canadian experience you've been able to get during your coursework. Second, what is the difference in salaries between, let's say, a fresher and an experienced graduate?
So it's more like I have noticed that see, there's no starting the average or something like that. It's more like,
Right.
if for example, if I'm a digital marketer and I'm stepping out after my university, like once I'm done with my graduation and then I'm stepping out and I find a job in as a digital marketer, and if I'm a fresher, then obviously there is if I search in Indeed, we'll get to understand that the starting pay will be around 50,000
Canadian
dollars
dollars.
per year,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
60,000 per year. And for example, if I have already some work experience as a digital marketer, and if I find back in India, that work experience also counts, obviously. But even as a fresher, it doesn't really matter. There's not that much gap, if you ask me. And it's more like, I think the starting would be about $50,000 per year, and it
Absolutely.
goes like, there is no like
Yes.
I cannot put a, yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. I hope that is helpful for the learners. The starting salary, as mentioned by Divya, is somewhere around 50,000 Canadian dollars. And, you can go to as much as 2 lakh Canadian dollars also. And that's completely dependent on, let's say, your prior work experience, what industry you choose to go into, and also what have you taken away from your MBA program. So in terms of that, Divya, of course, I think one of the biggest highlights of um, UCW is the location of the university. It's in Vancouver, and like I've previously mentioned, it's the tech hub of Canada, and it is home to many startups like Hootsuite or Slack, or even the Amazon headquarters were opened in 2018. So in terms of that, I would like you to throw some light on how can the people who do an MBA program actually make the most out of these opportunities, and what advantages are there for having the university situated at Vancouver, right? And any helpful tips that you would like to give them so that they are able to, get the more lucrative job options. For example, if they want to venture into finance or investment banking, etc.
So see, obviously UCW is located in the heart of Vancouver, if you ask me,
Yeah,
because it's in downtown, and it's like almost all the main offices or IT
okay.
offices, companies, most of the companies, they are in downtown. So it's
Absolutely.
like we'll get to not just experience the MBA journey, also at the same time we'll have we'll be seeing live in front of us, all will be seeing all the office buildings of Microsoft, Salesforce, and all this. So it's
Yes.
more like that will be like a like boost for us. It'll boost our um, to do more to get
Yes.
that. to go
Absolutely.
there. So basically, it just works like that.
Yes.
Um, yeah, it's more like it's completely based on our own profile. So how much effort we put, how much interest we have to find a job, to go ahead in our career, it's completely based on that, I would say. Yeah, we
Yes.
need to put our 100% to get the 100% ROI also, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a very valuable insight because we do need to take a lot of initiative. Opportunity wise, it's all there, right? I think there is a lot of demand for high skilled workers, especially in these tech jobs. And like you said, Vancouver is home to so many of the big tech companies, right? And surely, if there are tech jobs out there, there are definitely going to be a requirement for people to fill up the leadership roles, and that is essentially what a management degree equips you with, right? Absolutely. So thank you so much for sharing that. I think for all our learners out here who are there on the call, I think this is one of the biggest highlights of UCW, that you are at the heart of Vancouver. And Vancouver, apart from being also the tech hub, is also one of the more favorable cities to live in. Am I right, Divya? Yes, yes, absolutely. So now, Divya, this is going to be my next topic of discussion, and I think this is also going to be valuable for all our learners here because everyone really wants to know how is life out there, and particularly if they choose an education in UCW, how is life at UCW in Vancouver? How has it been for you as well?
So it's more like, I would say that we'll get to see, coming to work experience um, and studies for that matter, we'll get to interact with so many different people from different nations of the world. So it's more like a diversity and the cultural aspects of different countries will get to experience all that. And I feel that that is one way where we will understand how to, conduct ourselves in a different environment. Like, for example, in my workplace, most of them are Brazilians and Canadians. So I understood, okay, the work culture is very fun, I would say. Only that the only word I use fun is fun, because they put music on, and it'll be more like we can put our own music also if you're not interested in listening to that. And there is no rule or regulation that you need to work in this way or something like that. So it's just that they give us some task, you do your task, that's it. How you do it, what you do, how they just want the task to be done efficiently. So that is how it is. And even while studying also, there is no, it's not like like how we study during schooling. It's more like, if we are not like while in a class, if we have an emergency, we can just simply go out of the classroom, attend a call, or maybe even step out of the classroom while the class is going on and make send a mail to the professor explaining that this is what happened. And even the professor will be willing to accept a student attend another class of his, if at all the student is interested, to listen to the class. So it works, it's completely based on us.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Divya. In terms of also, when I talk about your life in UCW and in Vancouver, so on an average, what is the living expenses that you've had to incur, let's say on a monthly basis while living, in Vancouver?
So it's more like, as a student, initially when I came to Vancouver, I lived in a like shared accommodation, I would say.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I used to share a room with another girl, and we used to live in the same room. Obviously, it had an attached washroom, and it costed me about $500 per month.
Okay.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
accommodation alone. And
Right.
coming to the groceries and all the other stuff, it will cost maybe 300 to 400 more. And
Yeah.
per like the minimum pay in Vancouver is about $15.6. So even
Absolutely.
if we calculate for 20 hours per week, that would come up to nearly $1,200 per month. That used to be the scene where there was a 20 hours cap.
Yes.
But right now that is not there. So people like students who have time will, there are many students who converted their part-time job into a full-time job.
That's
So it's
amazing.
more like they're working for 40 hours per week. So the additional obviously will, how much money can we spend in a month? Maximum of $1,000 as a student, I would say, not
Yes.
more than that.
Right.
So even if we take a private room, that would cost us maybe a maximum of $700 or $800. So even if we spend $1,200, I think more than almost another $1,200 will be able to save. So
Absolutely.
most of the students now I'm noticing, like I'm seeing so many students who are like working, like started working full time, so that they can, save some money and, like pay their tuition fee.
Pay
So
their
that is
tuition.
what is happening. Yeah.
Yes. And that is possible because you are living in Vancouver, and like you correctly mentioned, the average wage rate is almost 15 Canadian dollars per hour, as you've mentioned. So, in terms of that, also when you talk about living expenses, and of course, accommodation happens to be, one of the more important aspects which take up your living expenses. So, what kind of accommodation is available at UCW? And commonly, UCW students, do they take up graduate housing on campus or do they go outside of campus? How does it really work for you?
UCW doesn't provide any kind of accommodation because um, because of whatever reasons. But I would say that finding an accommodation is not a problem in Vancouver,
Yes,
because first and foremost, when we are like obviously when we try to come into a different country, we'll get to network. Like before we step into the country, also we'll have more connections. We'll try to find more connections. We'll try to talk to people and understand and try to find accommodation before stepping in.
yes,
So while talking to the other people, we'll get to know like where the what kind of, first of all we'll research about the areas where how much rent will be. So
yes.
based on the area and based on our budget, we said, we'll try to look for places. And
Yes.
our friends who are already living in this place,
Hmm.
they'll be able to help us find the accommodation. Finding an accommodation is not an issue
It's
at all.
not a problem. Absolutely. And managing all your expenses is also not a problem because, like you've mentioned, and I would like to reiterate this for all our learners, it's possible to manage your expenses even when there was a cap of 20 hours per week. And now, with that cap having gone, you can, be positioned to even save on whatever you're earning during your part time work. So, I think that's absolutely incredible, right? So, thanks, Divya, for sharing that information. Next, Divya, when we do have a couple of minutes, and I would like to draw your attention to, what are the post-study work rights that students have after graduation, and especially for an MBA grad.
Study what? Sorry.
The post-study work rights that students have after completing an MBA.
Post study work opportunities, you mean? I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'm losing your voice. Okay. Okay. So it's more like I've already told you, right,
Am I
regarding this.
audible to you?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm losing you.
Hello. Are you able to
Ah,
hear me now? Am I audible to you?
um,
Yes.
it's breaking actually, but it's okay. I can
Just allow
understand
me
what
a
you're saying.
bit.
Yeah,
Yes. I hope I'm audible to you now, Divya.
yes, yes, clearly. Yeah.
So this is a question that we have from the audience, that what is the post-study work visa after an MBA that they are expected to have? Yes. Yeah.
Visa. Coming to visa, it's like study permit. It's they give it for 2 years. So the day we land in Canada, from that day, uh, till, like for example, I came last year November. So my study, it will maximum, it will go till June 2023, but the study visa got extended and they gave it till December 2023. So after that, like since I'm finishing it early, my MBA is almost about to be over by this December. So once my MBA is done, there will be like the UCW will be providing us with a letter of completion. Using that letter of completion, we will apply for a work visa through CIC website, that is government website. And that process also UCW will tell us how to do on all this. And once we apply for the work permit, it will take approximately about 6 months for us to get the work permit. But the government of Canada will give us a letter confirmation in the form of an email that you are eligible to work in the meanwhile. So once we get that confirmation, we can continue our work, like full-time work if we want, and wait for the work permit to come to our house. Like they will send the work permit in the form of a mail to our house. So once we get the work permit, it will be like it's the eligibility is for 3 years. So it's more like if we are opting for 1 year program in Canada, we'll get a 1 year work permit. After post-graduation work permit will be for 1 year. Since
Right.
MBA is for 2 years, so we'll get to have 3 years of post-graduation work permit. So this is
That's
how it works.
That's correct. Yeah, thank you so much, Divya, and I hope our learners have been able to get that piece of information. So, how does the post-study work visa really work? It depends on the duration of your course. So, for example, if your course duration is less than 8 months, you do not get a post-study work visa. If it's between 8 to 23 or 24 months, you get 2 years of work permit, and above that, you get 3 years. And like Divya has correctly mentioned, that since the MBA program is for 2 years, ideally you would get 3 years, right? And of course, there is a separate process to apply for a post-study work visa, which you will have to undertake once you are in the country, right? There is also one more question that learners have asked, and that is IELTS and GMAT mandatory to get into an MBA program, or can we only get admission on IELTS? Right. So in terms of that, of course, the UCW MBA program that we are offering at upGrad, it does not require you to have a GMAT score. But Divya, I'd like you to speak here, just for a couple of minutes on what is the GMAT score that UCW requires if you're going offline, or is there a GMAT score that they require at all?
UCWS doesn't require a GMAT score. It only
Yes,
requires an IELTS score.
it
So
requires an I.
as I've mentioned earlier,
Yes.
one needs to maintain more than 6.5 in IELTS. So that is the only criteria, eligibility criteria, which University Canada West requires.
Absolutely. So it is just the IELTS score, as Divya once again has reiterated, and you need an IELTS score of 6.5. And of course, for those of you who are considering applying to UCW, and if you are considering the route of upgrad, then we do also offer you preparatory tools for IELTS. We do offer you IELTS classes. And once you've completed those classes, I think you'll be well prepared to actually take the examination and get the score, because as Divya has mentioned, it's not very difficult. It's like a cakewalk. All right. So thank you so much, Divya. I think you've touched upon some very important points, and I think all the important points that every learner ought to consider before deciding to choose, before deciding a country of their choice in terms of an MBA and the MBA program in general also. Now, before we conclude, I would also like to throw light on one point, and that is the PR conditions in Canada, because you've also mentioned when you considered an MBA, this was one of the reasons why you chose Canada, right? So, can we have a couple of lines from you as to the immigration policies in Canada, how friendly it is, and why that is one of the reasons that make it a more attractive choice for learners?
So, Canada welcomes people. First and foremost thing is that Canada needs people. They have requirement for labor force, like whatever. It's not just labor in the sense, not the labor, but every person, like skilled immigrants, unskilled immigrants, non-skilled immigrants, every person, like they need people. So that is the main reason. So once we step into like Canada, there is no way that we will not get PR. Okay, even if we are like very old, it doesn't really matter, because once we are here, our like if we study in Canada, that and the work experience in Canada will have many different options to apply for PR. It's not just one way. There's no particular one way to get a PR here. So we have multiple routes. So it's more like PNP. There is BC PNP, which specific to BC. If you get a job in BC, and if it's knock B job, then we are eligible to apply for that particular cadre under that cadre. Similarly, there are CEC scores and different options to apply for a PR in Canada. So once we get a PR, it's more like we need to stay for, I think, 2 to 3 years, of time to be eligible, for us to apply for a citizenship. So that is how it works.
All right, thank you so much. I think you've given us a brief outline of the entire process. And I think when you say you need 2 to 3 years post of getting a PR, and that's how quickly you can get a citizenship in Canada, then obviously Canada has easier norms than I think most of the countries. And I think that's also one of the reasons why it is slowly emerging as the most popular destination for education overall. And of course, as we've talked earlier, that MBA applications to Canada, right, is on a surge. It has increased by more than 16.4% since 2019, right? So I thank you so much, Divya. You've shared some very insightful, discussions on the topics that we've covered. And I hope that that has been helpful for the learners as well. So we are almost at the close of this discussion. And before we close, Divya, I would like to, give the stage to you for any final, points that you would like to speak about to our learners.
So what I would suggest is that what I would want to tell you guys, everyone, is that you don't every person, every student who want to step out of India, while stepping out, obviously will have a lot of fears, doubts, and all these things. But once it's like one step which we need to take in order to see ourselves, our dream, like reach our dream. So if you have a dream to step out of India, get your dream accomplished, then you don't have to worry about all the things related to how it's going to be, how difficult it's going to be, will we be able to manage all these things, because you will get to experience some learnings, I would say, while during the journey. But each and everything will teach you, even the negative and the positive, both the aspects will teach us lot of new things. Like I have learned a lot of new things once I stepped inside Canada. These things I have not learned in India. I'm telling you very honestly. It's more like once we step out of the country, because of this diversity, because of this cultural, differences, and from different people from different nations, we'll get to learn a lot of new things. And they are positive most of the time, but there might be certain glitches, but definitely we will go ahead, we will pass through them. So it's not gonna be a difficult path at all. So it's just that we need to take the step.
Absolutely. I think nothing worthwhile ever comes easy, and that's what my final takeaway from whatever you last shared is. And MBA happens to be a course which not only develops you professionally but also personally, because it really forces you out of your comfort zone. And as we've all gotten to understand from the last 1 hour, is that the rewards can be it can be extremely rewarding if you happen to choose the right kind of program, and you are placed very advantageously. So thanks so much, Divya, for your time today. It was a pleasure speaking to you. And I think that we've gotten to know so much about Canada as a country, an MBA in Canada through this last 1 hour, right? So thanks again for your time. And as you're just going to graduate and you're going to start with your work in Canada, so our best wishes to you for an exciting career ahead and an exciting journey ahead.